Some people think the best thing about a summer holiday is the sun. And some people think the best thing about a summer holiday is the swimming. But you and I know that they are all wrong, because the best thing about a summer holiday is the reading. In today's episode of Book Break, I'm going to be packing the perfect holiday reading suitcase. In these 5 books, we've got mystery, we've got romance, we've got hot climates, and we've got blasts from the past. But no matter what genre they are, all of these books have one thing in common. They are all serious page turners. This is your ideal summer reading guide. Let's see what we've got in store. My first book is Ponte by Charlene Teo. Ponte is about 2 teenagers growing up in Singapore, Sue and Cersei, who form a short but very intense friendship. Sue is an outcast at school, having been emotionally abandoned by her mother Amisa, who was once the star of a cult horror film named Ponte. Years later, Cersei is reminded of her old friend while working on an advertising campaign for the modern remake of Ponte, and she looks back on their friendship with guilt and regret. It's an intense book, but Charlene Teo's writing so perfectly captures the rich, sticky heat of Singapore that you'll need sun cream on just to read this one. Perfect summer book. Next up, I have The Favourite Sister by Jessica Knoll, which is perfect for fans like me of reality TV. The Favourite Sister is about a self-proclaimed feminist reality show which follows the lives of successful businesswomen. But behind the scenes, the producers are pitting these women against each other more viciously than ever. At the centre of the action are sisters Brett and Kelly, but as we learn from the beginning, only one sister will make it through to the end of the season alive. The Charmed Life of Alex Moore by Molly Flatt stars another rich, successful career woman, but this book takes a totally bizarre twist that I guarantee will make it unlike any book you've ever read before. Alex Moore was struggling along in a job she hated and a life she was bored with, until one day she woke up and everything went right. Her idea for a business turned into one of London's fastest rising tech startups, with her as the adored and admired face of the business. But a research trip to the Orkney Islands reveals the real reason behind Alex's seemingly magical transformation. It's actual magic. Continuing the slightly magical theme, my next book is The Upstairs Room. This is a modern ghost story for the cynical age, and don't worry, for the easily scared amongst you, if you read it on a hot sunny beach, you won't even notice the goosebumps. Trust me, I've tried it out. The Upstairs Room is about a family who move into a Victorian townhouse, only to find themselves haunted. But whether it's by actual ghosts or by their own issues, you'll have to read to decide for yourself. And finally, Dear Mrs. Bird was one of my favourite books of the year so far, so it just has to have a spot in your holiday reading suitcase. Dear Mrs. Bird is set in 1940s London and follows aspiring war correspondent Emmy, who applies for what she thinks is her dream job, only to find herself working for the formidable Mrs. Bird, an advice columnist who refuses to answer any questions that she deems inappropriate. So Emmy takes pity on the poor women whose questions go unanswered and decides to write to them herself. The story is adorable, but the absolute best thing about this book is Emmy herself, whose ever cheerful attitude, even as the city she loves is torn apart by war, can't fail to make you smile. With these 5 books on your reading list, taking you on trips from Singapore to New York, you're bound to have the summer of your life. And do leave a comment below with your recommendations for summer reading that you think I should take on my holiday. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, because next week's episode is all about how to change any habit you'd like through the power of being kind to yourself. See you next time!